Professor Duerloo, would you like to tell some words about the history of annexation of Crimea? How do you estimate it? What was it?
About which annexation are we talking? Because as you know,
Russia.
Crimea has an extremely complicated history when it comes to that. But you mean the recent
Yes, of course.
annexation of Russia? Well, I think what precipitated... I think one of the essential things to know here is that, of course, Russia has had a very negative response to the events in the Balkans, notably the independence of Kosovo from Serbia. And in many ways I think you can see the annexation of the Crimea as a revenge for what happened with Kosovo. The opportunity was then handed to them when there was a rapid change of government in Kiev, as you certainly know just as well as I do, with the Maidan revolution, whereby Russia saw the opportunity more than anything else, as far as I can understand this, to incorporate Crimea into the Russian territory, and thereby, of course, gaining strategic, not so much gaining, but thereby strengthening its strategic position, particularly in naval terms, by regaining control of Sebastopol. I think it's a mix of showing its might against the West and attaining a number of strategic goals, while posing, of course, as the defender of Russians that live outside of the borders of Russia.
Can you find some historical parallels, maybe, of this, what happened in Crimea, and what is the circumstances of this act of annexation for Russia?
It's a bit of a vague question. Do you mean within Russian history, or do you mean history in general?
Yes, in general.
In general, well, I think certainly part of the subtext of this story is that political regimes that come under pressure, certainly political regimes whose democratic basis can be argued about, at times try to secure a quick foreign success in order to boost their image in the domestic field. And there can be no doubt, I think, that the Putin regime has tried to use the annexation of the Crimea, and after that, of course, the protection, quote-unquote, of the Russian minority in Ukraine as a way of boosting its own image on the home front. That's something you've seen. I mean, the Argentinians annexating the Falkland Islands, trying to annexate them. I mean, it's as old as the history of the world, I would almost say.
Do you support the efforts of international community, world leaders, to stop the annexation and take back Crimea?
Do I support?
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened there is certainly against international law, so it's a situation that cannot be recognized. But then, as I told you, I mean, the same could be said for the independence of Kosovo.
And do you know some solution, maybe, of the conflict in Donbass and Eastern Ukraine?
Well, I wish I did know the solution, but I do think that the government in Kiev should be much more clear about what it understands when it makes promises about giving local autonomy to Russian-speaking people in eastern Ukraine. As long as there is a certain fear that Russians might be completely minorized in these areas, it will be very easy for the Russian Federation to use them as an instrument against the Ukrainian government. So I think the solution has to be found by creating linguistic rights and so on. Flemings know everything about this for these minorities.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.